call upon the spirit of the owl, messenger of wisdom. Welcome to the Temple of the Owl. Merry meet, seekers of knowledge, for I am Matt's Owl, your host, and I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Sending you guys some positivity your way if you need it. Hope that everyone knows they can get through whatever they're going through. Here at the Temple of the Owl, located deep in the forests of Northern California. In this episode, we will discuss the local legends of my towns, and we're going to talk about the Napa Rebobs and the Vaca Woolies. This is here where we talk about magic and spirituality on all levels, but it's through the perspective of a modern witch. Now, as always, these are just ideas to help you live a magical life and think about things more differently. Take the information and do what you want with it. I want to thank you guys for your support and thank you for listening, especially those listening on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. It's KUAP, Digital Broadcasting, and check out troubledminds.org. Shout out to the Troubled Minds family out there listening. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you guys for listening and your support. And just want to know, usually when I start the show, I like to start the show with the MOD, or the message of the day. It's a quote that I find that helps me explain the show topic. And since today we're talking about local legends, and specifically we're talking about these cryptids known as the Napa Rebobs. And we're going to talk about this stuff with you guys, get these stories out here and talk about them, and just put them out there and kind of bring it into the light of, we're just talking about these stories. But let's look at this quote here. And this quote says, "Drive down Pedrick Road at midnight, and you will hear the screech of the rebobs before you see their glowing eyes in the trees. If you're lucky, you'll leave with just the story. If not, you might not leave at all." And that's a local Napa legend. Now, the Napa Rebobs are a cryptid or urban legend from Napa Valley, California, and that's the wine country. They're described as monkey-like creatures with bat wings, rumored to lurk in the forests around Pedrick Road, a winding area, eerie area outside of Napa. The origins of the Rebobs are unclear, but their story has circulated for decades. The most common tale suggests that they are the result of a twisted genetic experiments conducted in a secret laboratory, possibly during or after World War II. The legend claims scientists were attempting to create hybrid creatures, fusing monkeys with bats and even possibly humans. The Rebobs escaped into the woods and were deliberately released when the experiments were shut down. They now haunt the roads and forests of Napa, attacking late-night travelers or those who venture too far into the woods. The story that I was told by local people, we were telling stories around the campfire, and it goes like this. Before Napa was a town, a scientist named Dr. Pedrick moved to the town and built a house to conduct his experiments, which were controversial. He was working with dark experiments, and his research was considered fringe science. He moved his family into the woods and conducted these experiments in secret. One day, the military came to him and wanted him to build a super soldier for the war. He said no, but they held his family hostage if he didn't do their bidding. So he agreed, but he would need monkey DNA, the best for a super soldier. They provided him the material he needed for the experiment, and he created a super soldier, a monkey with wings and claws. Now, of course, everybody laugh and make your Wizard of Oz jokes, but these creatures were scary. They were not the silly monkeys with wings that we see in the Wizard of Oz. Now, of course, the creatures broke out of his custody and killed the scientists and the soldiers, and they escaped into the woods. They ate wild rabbits and deer to survive, and there have been many accounts of finding animals that were mutilated that they can't figure out what kind of animal would do that to them. Now, as time went on, the town developed and it became wine country, attracting tourists and shoppers to the fine town. As the town grew, the teenagers would go out to the top of the hill and do what teenagers do. They call it like a lover's lane. And several people have had contact with the Napa Rebobs. People have had accounts of being chased out of the hills by the monsters. Now, I was drawn to the story, and I love the story because it's local. A lot of people will talk about the story and tell it under the campfire. Now, some witnesses account that the Rebobs are these monkey-like soldiers that they have large, leathery bat wings, glowing red eyes, and sharp claws and fangs, a screeching or chittering sound when they attack. Some stories say they hop from tree to tree, while others claim they can swoop down from above, ambushing people near Patrick Road at night. Many locals and thrill seekers have driven down Patrick Road in hopes of spotting a rebob. Now, as an adult, we went to Patrick Road in search of evidence. We went in the day because I'm too afraid to go at night. We went up to this road and we came to a dead end. And there's this giant boulder blocking the road. Like, I could see how the government had used machines to slide this boulder across the road to block it. And when I was up there, I felt like I was being watched. And I made this joke, we're being watched by the Rebobs. And I looked out over the hill and I realized that there was a black helicopter hovering in the distance, facing us. I got scared and I got in my car and drove back down the road. Now, the helicopter followed us down the hill and into the town. And I watched in my rearview mirror. As we got to the town, the helicopter vanished. And I didn't think it was anything strange until I got home and I searched about the area and found out that black helicopters of Napa are a part of a larger conspiracy theory involving unmarked, silent, and often low-flying helicopters seen around Napa Valley, particularly near rural areas, vineyards, and secluded roads. Now, these helicopters are often linked to government surveillance, secret military operations, and even UFO activity. Sightings of black, unmarked helicopters have been reported across the U.S. since the 1970s, often associated with government surveillance programs, CIA, FBI, and military intelligence. Even stories of the Men in Black activity, supposedly monitoring UFO witnesses, secret military or law enforcement training exercises, paranormal and extraterrestrial activity, particularly near UFO hotspots. In Napa, reports of black helicopters date back decades, with claims that they appear late at night, hover silently, and vanish without explanation. Some believe the helicopters are part of a government covert monitoring, possibly tied to secret testing sites in the area. Napa's remote landscapes and proximity to military bases like Travis Air Force Base, that's where I'm at, make it possible. It's a possible location for classified operations. Some locals suspect that the helicopters are DEA aircraft monitoring illegal cannabis farms or other suspicious activity in Napa Vineyards. Others claim they're used for agricultural surveillance, monitoring the grape growth, pests, or environmental changes. Many UFO researchers link black helicopters to alien encounters, suggesting they monitor or cover up sightings. Now, Napa has had several UFO reports, and some believe they see the helicopters appear after the sightings to investigate or silence witnesses. Some conspiracy theories claim that these helicopters use advanced cloaking or sound dampening technology, making them nearly silent. The helicopters are said to perform bizarre maneuvers, including sudden stops, hovering for long periods, or vanishing instantly. Several Napa residents and visitors have claimed to witness black helicopters with common details including silent flight, often at low altitudes, lack of visible markings or insignias, appearing in the same locations multiple times, particularly near secluded roads and forests, and unusual behavior such as circling an area repeatedly or flying away at impossible speeds. One of the well-known claims suggests that black helicopters followed a driver on Pedrick Road in the area and is also associated with the Napa Rebobs. Some believe there's a connection between the two legends, that the government knows something about the Rebobs and is trying to keep it quiet. Private security helicopters monitoring the vineyards, law enforcement and military training exercises, and drones or experimental aircraft misidentified as helicopters. The mass hysteria of the urban legend influence, regardless, the mystery persists, keeping Napa's skies just as eerie as its haunted roads. Included encounters are some car engines stalling or flickering headlights, as if the Rebobs disrupt electrical signals. Scratch marks on vehicles, supposedly from an attack. Screeching noises in the trees with no visible source. And a feeling of being watched or followed while walking through the woods. Despite these claims, there is no physical evidence of the Rebobs, and the skeptics believe they are nothing more than local ghost story or a hoax meant to scare outsiders. While there are no confirmed sightings of the Rebobs, some theories suggest owls or large birds misidentified as winged creatures. Optical illusions caused by headlights and shadows on twisted tree branches. Hoaxes or pranks meant to scare visitors. A cautionary tale to keep teenagers from sneaking out late at night. The Napa Rebobs are one of California's most creepiest local legends, blending cryptic lore with mad scientist conspiracy theories. Whether real or imagined, they add to an eerie atmosphere on Pedrick Road, making it a favorite spot for paranormal enthusiasts. Now, I like that story. It's one of my favorites, and I've wondered too if the black helicopters, like maybe the experiments continued. Maybe they put the underground lab underground, and maybe they're still experimenting. So what do you guys think about that one? That one's pretty cool, and that's about 20 minutes away from me. So let's get into the next story here. This next story comes from my actual town that I live in, and this is where, we're going to talk about this one real quick. Let's see. So the next story comes from a friend in high school, and this is where he invited me to his parents' house. He had a ranch in the hills, and they owned a large ranch that had several animals, including horses. And they wanted to teach people how to ride horses, so they invited people there to their ranch to learn horseback riding, and they gave a weekend retreat experience. Now, my friend and I helped build the trails with his dad so that the horses could ride on. And they had 3 trails: a beginner, a medium, and an expert. Now, the expert trail was miles long, and it went around their property and came up against this canyon wall. Now, my friend told me that he and his father had gone to build the trails, they found caves, and the horses would not want to cross. They thought it was wolves or coyotes in the caves that scared the horses. Now one day, a client learning how to ride a horse got bucked off his horse. It got spooked by something in the cave. The woman broke her arm and tried to sue my friend's parents. My friend's dad and him went to the cave with rifles to try to scare off or kill the animals inside. But to their surprise, it was not coyotes or wolves in the cave. They were man-like creatures with fur and wool. Now, that is the story I know, and that's from my local town, and we call them the Vaca Woolies. Now, the Vaca Woolies are thought to be an old local legend, possibly originating from folklore of the early settlers of the region who claimed to see strange, furry creatures in the wilderness. The Native American stories about wild spirits or hairy beasts that roam the hills. And of course, these can be tied to Bigfoot-related sightings, as Northern California has a history of Sasquatch encounters. Now, the name Woolies likely refers to their woolly or shaggy fur, while the Vaca ties them to the region. Large and covered in thick fur, resembling a giant, shaggy beasts, walking on two legs, but able to move on all fours when needed, with glowing eyes, sometimes reported as red or yellow in the night. Long arms and clawed hands, though some say they have hoofs instead of feet, and a musky, animal-like smell, often described as unpleasant. Some say the Vaca Woolies resemble a cross between Bigfoot and a mountain goat, while others compare them to werewolves or feral humanoids. The Vaca Woolies are most commonly reported in the hills and the forests near Vacaville, especially in rugged areas with dense vegetation where something large could hide. Lagoon Valley Park. Some hikers have claimed to hear strange growls or see large, shadowy figures in the trees. Pleasance Valley Road. A few stories tell of drivers spotting a massive, woolly creature crossing the road at night. The description aligns with Sasquatch-like creatures, suggesting the Vaca Woolies might be a local breed of Bigfoot. Some compare him to the sheep Sasquatch, or the West Virginia cryptid that's woolly, horned, and aggressive. The theory suggests that woolies could have been escaped zoo animals or experimental creatures from a nearby ranch or facility. Some believe that the Vaca Woolies aren't creatures at all, but ghostly apparitions, demons, or entities from another dimension. Now, most stories don't describe them as violent, but some claim they watch people from the trees, disappearing if approached. They have been heard growling and making eerie howls at night. Few hikers have felt pushed or nudged by unseen forces, possibly as if the woolly was defending its territory. The Vaca Woolies remain a mystery, blending Bigfoot lore with eerie local legends. Whether a real cryptid or a misidentified animal, or pure myth, their story adds to Northern California's strange and supernatural history. Now, I like that story because, like I said, that's a local legend from my town, like literally 5-minute drive from some of those places I was talking about. Lagoon Valley, Pleasant Valley Road, those are like walking distance from me. And so I like these stories. I like to hear them, especially hearing them from a friend that I kind of trust the source, and just hearing these stories. What do you guys think? Do you guys think? Do you guys believe in this kind of stuff? Do you think maybe it's just a myth or accident? And I feel like all towns have some sort of urban legend or some sort of local legend. And so I'm interested too to hear your guys's on what are some local legends from your town? What are some scary stories or some other things that have happened in your area that are local? It kind of makes it more, how do I say it? It makes it more like interesting, fascinating to me to learn about these things because they're right here in front of our faces. Instead of, we always hear stories from monsters from other towns, cryptids from other towns. So I'm going to keep talking about this stuff. I'm going to keep doing, we're going to do more like cryptid shows. We're going to talk about all the cryptids and just kind of get them out there, talking about them. Let you know what you guys think. But I wanted to do this show. I wanted to talk about the local legends and share some of my stories that I like to talk about, these urban legends, these scary stories, and know that every town has them. It's pretty cool to think about this kind of stuff. So I'd like to thank you guys. Like I said, let me know if you in the comments you guys have any scary like local legends or any kind of things. Also when I went to Oregon, lots of Bigfoot stuff up there. So I might do a whole another Bigfoot show, talk about that. But I've seen a lot of evidence at these Bigfoot museums that has me interested, has me thinking about there's something out there that we don't know what it is. And that's interesting to me. We're running out of time. I want to thank you guys for listening. Very special thank you for those listening on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. Thank you guys very much. This is Matt Sal, releasing the spirit of the owl. Have a great night. Blessed be.
For many centuries, witchcraft has been considered evil, associated with the devil and all things dark. Let's break these stereotypes with your host, Matt Sal, of the Temple of the Owl. Let's talk about magic, of the old way to explore the many roles of the witch, including the tools of the craft, the history of the science behind this ancient earth-based religion. Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. For centuries.